Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and we're going to look today at how we hit an iron off the fairway. And we're going to talk a little bit about your head position and how important that is when you play the shot. Now, when we look at things, there's a lot of talk about, I think when we talk about your head, the most common thing people say is keep your head down. And we're going to kill that idea. The more you keep your head down, the more likely you are to reduce a good posture, and you're going to create tension in what you're looking to do. So with the head position we're going to talk about, we're looking at that position relative to the ball, but we want to keep the head steady throughout the swing. If you watch any good player, their head doesn't stay dead still because the swing and the body is moving throughout the shot. So your head's allowed to move. Don't worry about that. You can allow your head to move. It's just naturally what would happen in the shot. But what we're going to talk about more is where's my head position relative to the angle we're looking at here. So what we call the face-on angle as we play the shot. And we tend to talk about two other things, and we don't really talk about the head position. And we talk about ball position, and we talk a little bit about the sternum, the middle of the chest, and where that should be when we play the shot. And I'm not saying they're wrong, because if it gives you the right idea and it fits in with what we're talking about today, then that's absolutely fine. We're okay with that, and that can work. So the importance of what we're going to talk about, let's look at those other two things first. So what I want to do when I hit an iron shot is I want to hit the ball, and then I want to take a divot after the golf ball when I'm hitting an iron shot. So I've just got an 8 iron here, and we're going to do probably a 3/4 8 iron down the range. So I'd be expecting that to go 100 yards if I hit it correctly. And what I see a lot of the time is people's idea of playing the shot is they want to encourage the ball to go up into the air. So the first thing, which looks logically the right thing to do, is they will set up and they will put the ball position forward. And that looks like then if I'm behind the ball, it now looks like I can help the ball up into the air. And the only time in golf that can work is if you stick it on a tee. But the likelihood is if you're playing off the ground, it just brings in a lot of chances that you're going to get a lot of imperfections in your strike. If you look about the logic of it now, naturally, my body is behind the ball, I'm more likely to hit back here. And we're using this sort of teaching mat here to show you the idea of when we're playing a shot, what would happen. Okay, so physically, if everything's behind the ball, the likelihood is I could hit behind it, or if I miss the ground, the club is on the up and you could top or thin the ball. So ball position, if you're playing a mid-iron, remember that's what we're talking about today. We're not talking about a driver, we're talking about a mid-iron. Start with, get the ball position pretty central in your stance. And if we look at what happens, we're talking about the head position. This is what we're going to come to. The head now is pretty much in line with the golf ball. You can see the line here at the back of the golf ball. We're using that idea. I want my divot to start slightly, as I'm looking at it as the golfer, to the left of it, as you're looking on the camera to the right of it, at the front of the golf ball. I want to get that there. So I'm maximizing all my power into the golf ball. Anything in my body, either at address that's behind it, isn't going to allow me to do that very well. Okay, so at the start, you can see also the zipper on my top. I'm getting that in line. My nose is in line with that line. Ball's in the center. So straight away, I've given myself a really good chance. Now, mentally, what we need to do is make sure that when we're playing the shot, is we're keeping that feeling going through the ball. If you go to one of my other videos, which is just a chipping one, it says, always move the ball forwards. What's going to get the golf ball up in the air is the loft of the club. And if you do what we're going to encourage you to do as we go through this video and get that feeling of hitting through and keeping the head in the right position, you're going to get a much better result. So I'd really encourage you as you go through this video. Majority of us now practice on practice ranges, and it's a false environment. It's a mat, which again, it needs to be done because it allows you to hit 100 balls without damaging any area. But if you can buy one of these mats, okay, and we'll just do a swing here, just through it, and what it shows as it goes through the mat, shows the mark of the club as it goes through. So it's showing what your divot would be doing. It's a great teaching aid, okay? You can buy them for around about, in the UK, about £25, okay? It's a great teaching aid, but straight away it gives you feedback. The problem with hitting off a mat on the range, if you hit slightly behind it, and we're talking, let's say, a ball width behind, the club can bounce into the back of the ball and you look like you've got a good result. And then you go out on the golf course and you keep hitting the turf behind it and you lose about 40% of your power. The other alternative, you've got it, which is what I do with all my lessons. We come out here and every lesson is on grass. So they are learning the real game. We're not practicing in a false environment. So if they get it wrong, they see themselves take the divot before the ball. We learn how to get that strike. But sometimes I'll use this little teaching aid because, again, it gives immediate feedback. Sometimes it's a little bit more obvious than the divot they've taken, because the ball's gone and the divot's been taken. Unless you've put a T-peg in the ground to show where that starting point was, sometimes they don't realise what they've done. So physically, that line tells us, yeah, have I hit back here, or have I hit correctly, much more in line with the front of the ball. Okay, so it's a great teaching aid. So for not a lot of money, as I said, around about £25, you can really get some good feedback when you go to the driving range. Okay. Also, I think it teaches you to get that better rhythm and contact on the shot. Now, we're going to use an idea, and the reason why I created this video was simply because of one other sport. Okay, and I'm a big believer that sports tend to have sort of similar ideas, and it's basically the sport of cricket. So the idea in cricket, watching this video, it's only a 10-minute video, and it's with one of the best English batsmen we've had in the last 10 years, a guy called Kevin Peterson. And it was interesting because in cricket, they're taught very much to move their feet to the pitch of the ball. And he says, I don't do that. And it's like, wow, okay. And even the guy who was doing the interview was like, really? He goes, no, I get my head in the right position. Because if my head's in the right position, my weight's going to be in the right position. And I started to think about the golf swing. And I started to think, well, that's the same in a golf swing. If the head is stable, if you think about it, what is your head doing? Your ears are your balance point. So if your ears are moving and you're falling around all over the place, the likelihood is you fall back here, your golf swing's not going to be in the right position. So what we're going to look at is, if I get that ball position correct, and I now keep the head, so you can see on the video, my nose and the line on my jacket are in line with the back of the ball. What that's going to allow me to do is the feeling that when I play the shot, if I now feel my momentum move through the ball, as we said, keep that ball moving forwards, it's going to encourage me to take the ball and then the divot. So from there, if I keep my head steady, I'm not keeping it down, steady, and just let it respond to my body movements, you can see from the shot, more important, the mark there, we've hit that golf ball about 100 yards down the range, but there's the back of the ball line, and there's physically my mark going through the mat. So really, really good. I got the ball first, I got the energy. Now, if we look at it, and again, people sort of say don't practice the wrong things, but it's understanding when you're doing it wrong. What's happening? We'll put the ball there. And if I now am that golfer who sets up lovely, but then as I get to the ball, the image is I've got to get the ball up, the head's going to fall back. What am I going to do? I'm going to hit back here. Okay, it's still gone straight, but I've lost 30% of my distance because look how far I've hit behind the ball. Now, that's a much better result off that mat because, again, like the driving range, it did skid through a bit, but straight away it gave me immediate feedback. And hopefully on the video you could see how my head went backwards to help the ball up. And now where is everything? Look, the sternum's behind the ball. Or my weight's too far behind the ball. But it's the head that's done it. If you're suddenly thinking, I've got to get the ball up, look what happens. We're looking for that sensation as we go through the shot. We don't need the ball, just to get the idea. Setup's good. I haven't changed my setup, but I want to get that feeling through. And you'll see my head stay steady, but actually when I finish the shot, my head is much more over my left knee because I've allowed the momentum to go through the shot. And that's what I want you to feel. The head should be steady, but it should react to your body movements. So you'll feel your head. It will move a little bit to the right on the way back, and it will move a little bit to the left as you go through, as long as you allow that to happen. And the key thing's let it, and you'll have a load more fun. You'll have a lot more success with your shots. But find something that gives you this feedback. Feedback is great. If you are somebody taking a lot of divot or topping it, this is going to make a massive difference to your game. So how important is your head? Well, very important. If your head's moving backwards, you're more likely to hit the ground or top the ball. If your head is moving nice and balanced through the shot, you're going to get yourself into a position where you're going to strike that ball far, far better. Now, I hope you've enjoyed that tip today. As the Resourceful Coach, we want to give you lots of things. Today it was all about technique. If you liked it, please subscribe to my channel and please share with your friends.